I'd like to welcome everyone to the Emmaus Borough Council meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, at this time we'll entertain personal appeals. If anyone has a personal appeal, please approach the podium and sign in. State your name. All right, hearing none, anybody have a community minute to bring forward? We have no special presentations tonight. Reading of the minutes, would somebody like to make a motion to approve the council meeting minutes from February 4th?
So moved.
Councilman Hart makes the motion, seconded by Councilwoman McManaman. Questions or additions or corrections? Hearing none, all those say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There's 7 ayes. Decisions on bids, we have a bid on a dump truck lease. Underneath your tab, there were 4 people that applied. And it's being awarded to tax exempt leasing for 3.88%. It's a 4-year lease, 48 months, and the average or the monthly payment will be $3,444.74. Would somebody like to make a motion to give the bid to tax exempt leasing for 3.88%? Councilman Dufresne, seconded by Councilwoman Baumgartner. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. Communications, we received a letter from Amy Hitch asking for reappointment to the Joint Environmental Advisory Council. Her current term expires March 7th, 2019. So would somebody like to make a motion to reappoint Amy Hitch? How long is the term? Is it 3 years? Whose committee is this under here? Jeff?
Yep, I'll make that motion.
Do you know when the term expires? Should be under your report.
Term ends 3/7/2022.
Okay, 3-year term.
Yep.
So there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Anders? Questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
Who made the?
I did.
Shipsa and Anders is second. Chris Schmidt has an event foreman for Hero Up for Childhood Cancer 5K Run and Children's Run event, May 5th, 2019, in Emmaus Community Park. This went through the committee. This would have been, is this your committee?
Yeah. We're just laughing because I told you I knew I saw the notes and
I was
we couldn't
searching
find it.
frantically in my office
I knew
for
we read
this,
it.
and it was in the iPad.
Under here right now.
Yes, it's in the committee meeting
Yes,
notes.
I know it is. I knew I saw it.
So, this is on your committee?
Yeah.
Chris? So this is the same 5K course that we had before the Splash and Dash. I looked at the map, very similar. So would you like to make the motion to approve the event?
Yes, I'd like to make the motion to approve the run contingent upon the proper insurance, correct?
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Councilwoman Baumgartner, questions or discussion?
Just-
Councilman Anders?
Are there any concerns of other events at the park on that day?
So we took a look at that. They will be high school baseball. I think is scheduled to play in the morning. If their game takes until 2 o'clock, they don't deserve to be playing at that point because that would make it a 5-hour game.
Right. So we would block off the park then for the rest of the afternoon?
They don't need it.
They don't need it.
No, it's not like a big to do afterwards. They're gonna have 100 runners. They are essentially doing the run, and that's gonna be about the end of it. They're not
Okay.
gonna spend a
There's
whole
no
lot of, there's no big after party or anything like that. It's a fundraiser for Angel 35. I mean, that was my understanding at Gen Ed. Am I right, Mr. Levenberg? It didn't sound like they were doing any big gathering event type of thing. So I don't think that it warrants having to close the park off. I think a pavilion is all they're gonna need.
Okay,
Thank
thank you.
Just as my own input, I've run the course already. It's a fun course. It's a challenging course. There are some hills in it because you're going up above the turnpike there, and on that backstretch, there's a really big hill. It's also a nice run because you run through our park, you do the backside where it goes behind the community pool there and kind of winds around and then finishes down McClensick Avenue? What do we call that? McClensick Drive.
Yes.
And anyhow, it's a good run.
Wait, Mr. Levenberg, is it, because I did the splash and dash the 1 year and we came up through here and then back down. It's not that?
Look at the map.
It's going the other way.
It's a different one.
It cuts into the
We-
park,
I think it was
goes-
the first
I think there
year
were two different
splash and
routes.
dash, we came down through.
Yeah, West Barrett had helped Mr. Schmidt design the course. So
Okay, I
I
was
know it
just
was one of the
curious.
2 years
Yeah.
of the splash and dash that it
Must have been the
modified.
second, because I did, I think, the first.
All right, well, you have a motion, we have a second. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. Fred Mussel from Cedarbrook Sportsman requests a donation for stocking Furnace Dam. I think this has been going on for about 10 years now. Asking for a donation of $500. It will stock 200 fish. And if you read the letter, the fish are actually going to be bigger this year. They had a good season raising them, and he said in the letter that size does matter, and he's referring to the fish. So anyhow, a little humor there.
I'm not sure that you need to actually vote on it.
No, I'm just, it's a budget thing that we do every year, but I'm
Yeah.
just,
So I think we've been just sending it to staff.
correct. All right, did anyone else receive any communications? I received one on my desk from Michael Gibson. Dear Council, I am writing to share an exciting initiative underway for the Planning Commission. An ad hoc committee has been established to develop a 10-year vision for Emmaus Borough. The plan will include many subsections, including natural resources, housing, infrastructure, historic preservation, recreation, transportation, vehicular and pedestrian, and others. The committee will include stakeholders of varied types within the borough, commissions, CRD committee, residents, businesses, both for and not for profit. The committee will be utilizing past and current studies of Emmaus for guiding our direction. Additionally, we will use other resources such as Lehigh Valley Planning Commission, Southwest Lehigh Comprehensive Plan, and other boroughs of similar size demographics. Periodically, I will report to CRD committee with updates. All this will culminate in public hearings and ultimately a final presentation to Borough Council. The process is anticipated to take 2 years to thoroughly research and develop the plan, and we appreciate the support of the Borough Council and look forward to providing you the updates. Sincerely, Michael Gibson. That's a fantastic project there.
Yeah,
and
so, just to comment on that, I challenged the planning commission because they asked what they could do more than just review plans. And about a year ago, I challenged them with, a viable planning commission helps plan out the community. And, we have this Southwest Comp Plan that, quite honestly, I don't want to do what we always do, and that's take another study and put it on the shelf. And we have all these other plans that we've taken the study and put it on the shelf. And I literally have 15 plans sitting on a shelf that either we looked at, maybe took a little piece of it, but never looked at everything else, or we just didn't utilize. And I said to them, like, if you really want to make an impact, let's create something that's real, that the people in the community that are part of, and it's something that we can use as a tool and make a real comprehensive plan that's not just something that a consultant group made, but the people of the town made, and they have taken it and run with it. And it's exciting. I think there's some excitement out there with different groups that are buying into this, and I really commend Mike by through what he's doing by taking the bull by the horns with it, as well as other members of that commission, because they've. I can tell you, 7 years ago, the planning commission would have looked at me and laughed by that conversation. This planning commission said, "Okay, let's do it," and they've led that initiative. They've started meetings. They have plenty of meetings scheduled. They're inviting groups all over the community to be part of it. So I'm very excited for what can come out of this, as long as we participate on our behalf and the community participates. I think that there's a lot of potential in this, and I know that Mrs. McManaman has been a large part of that conversation with the commission as well. So,
Well, I'm really impressed with the Planning Commission and how zealous they have been, even in their conversation during meetings, during public meetings. They have met a couple of times as well to talk about the outline and what's important for Emmaus. But to get stakeholders involved, they are reaching out to, like Shane said, to every committee and commission. And I think that's very exciting because I think residents will have the opportunity to be involved at a level that they've not had the opportunity in the past. So I commend Mike and the group as well.
Anybody else? We have had some turnover on the planning commission, and they're obviously becoming more proactive, which is nice to see. So looking forward to seeing the results of their meetings. All right, Borough Engineers report. We have none. Solicitors report.
Mr. President, I've been trying to resolve the Fireman's Relief Funds matter. I have a settlement agreement in front of the attorney for the firemen, and we'll see whether we can get rid of it.
Okay.
I can go into more detail, but it should be done in an executive session. I don't think it's necessary right now. And that's it. Progress.
Thank you. Unfinished business part 1. We have nothing under new business. We have first reading of the ordinance 1186, an ordinance amending Chapter 15, subsection 404.1 of the codified ordinances, establishing parking restrictions adjacent to Triangle Park and South 4th Street during the Emmaus Farmers Market. This will be first reading. Second reading will be in about a month, probably second meeting in March.
Yeah, I think it's the 19th of March. 18th of March, I'm sorry.
Would somebody like to make a motion to approve ordinance 1186? Councilwoman McManaman, second by Councilman Hart. Questions or discussion on this? All right, so this is a roll
we
call.
have one.
Oh, okay.
Just, is there, for some of the personnel who uses the triangle, I guess, in 3 a.m., is there alternative parking? Are they permitted to just park up here?
Anywhere where there's public parking available.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and-
Just didn't know
and
if
so,
we were designating anything or.
Including our parking
Yeah,
lot.
including our.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
What if you guys adopt this? We will send out letters to each of the businesses and residents, and in those letters we will include areas where they can park as alternatives.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we had a plan for that in the public mood. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, this is a roll call vote. Councilwoman McManaman?
Aye.
Councilman Shipsta?
Aye.
Councilman Anders?
Aye.
Councilman Hart?
Aye.
Councilman Dufresne?
Aye.
Councilwoman Baumgartner?
Aye.
Councilman Ladenburg? Aye. There are 7 ayes. Unfinished business part 2. We have nothing, items not on the agenda. Does anybody have anything to bring forward? Hearing none. Mayor's report.
Thank you. Nothing for an official report this evening. However, on February 28th, Chief Palmer and I will be having dinner with the residents at 643 Broad Street. It's our 4th dinner with the residents of our high-rises here in town. I don't know if we're going to be playing bingo this time, but we did last time, which was fun.
Did you win?
No, I didn't win. So if any member of council, or even you, Mr. Pepe, if you'd like to join us, please let me know.
Only if we're playing bingo.
Well, I'll let you know if we're going to play bingo.
I have treasure trolls.
Okay. And we usually start around 5 o'clock, so if anybody's interested in joining us, let me know. Other than that, progress.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Committee reports. We have Public Works Committee, Chairman Anders.
We have nothing for official action this evening. Our last meeting was canceled. We will be meeting March 13th at 4 p.m., and I'll report progress.
Thank you. Health, Sanitation, and Codes Committee, Chairman Shipsta.
Nothing for official action. We took care of the reappointment of Amy Hitch, so our next meeting is scheduled for February 27th at 4:30 p.m. Progress.
So, Jeff, I have a suggestion. I don't know why I thought of this, but I was sitting at home and it popped in my head.
Okay.
And I thought it'd be great if we could have two educational videos on our website, but not necessarily the videos themselves, but at least maybe a link. One being a video showing recycling, like at a recycling center, and the process of what happens, so people are educated on once it goes from the curb, where it goes and what happens to it.
Okay.
That's the first thing. And another video on, maybe our company can do this, on what is and isn't recyclable. And I think a video would be actually, like a 1 or 2 minute video would be very helpful for somebody to click on there and just say, oh, okay, we can recycle this but not this, and vice versa.
Okay, yeah, we can kind of set
So I
that
thought
up.
that was a good idea.
All right, yeah.
See if we can make that work.
definitely do
And then, I don't know, it popped in my head.
All
It's
right.
good that you're sitting at home thinking recycling.
Oh, I
Must have been
don't
my
know.
speech last time.
I
I don't know.
suggested that Mr. Shipster would create a homemade video.
He
too.
wants, yeah, I suggested we bring all our recyclables in and put them on the tables here and you can,
And I could just stand there and recycle them?
yeah,
Great.
We'll bring a bin out for you.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Anyhow, thank you. Parks and Recreation Committee, Chairwoman Baumgartner.
We have one item for official action. We interviewed Donna Weaver for a place on the Recreation and Entertainment Commission. So we would like to make a motion to appoint her, Donna Weaver, to the Recreation and Entertainment Commission with a term expiring 5/1/2021.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Councilman Schubsta, questions or discussion? I just have one question. Do you know how many are on that committee now?
4?
Five.
It's,
It'll be five. It will be five.
Five, okay.
Let me just make sure.
it can
I
have-
thought it was somewhere around there, 4 or
I
5.
think it's 4.
It needs
And it can
more.
have up to 9?
Yeah,
It needs more.
Definitely needs.
Yeah.
Like double that.
Anyone out there?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Yeah,
I was on
she
it
would
once.
make 5.
Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
That's all. We have our meeting notes, progress. Our next meeting will be March 5th at 4:30.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee, Chairman Dufresne.
Our first item here, you can see the memo from Shane. I want to make a motion to promote Donald Riley III to fire lieutenant with the fire company.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Hart, questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
All right, the next item here, excuse me, is a little bit different than how we normally do. We normally have the ordinance written up here, but the ordinance is not written up here. So we're going to consider this as the first reading, which according to Shane, we don't have to actually have a first reading, so it's okay to do it. I want to make a motion to advertise for ordinance to place a handicap parking spot at 572 Jubilee Street. We'll have a second reading in 2 council meetings on March 18th.
All right, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Councilwoman McManaman, questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
We already did the superhero run for Angel 34. You can see the committee meeting notes in there. So unless anybody has any questions, progress, and our next meeting is March 13th at 9:15 a.m.
Thank you. We have General Administration Committee, that's myself. We have Solicitor Services request for proposal. It's 10-page request for proposal. We're looking to pass it tonight, receive responses by March 27th, and then start the interviewing process sometime after that in April. So would somebody like to make a motion to approve the RFP? Councilman Dufresne, second by Councilwoman Baumgartner. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. You see committee meeting notes, 3 pages. If anyone has any questions, I'll entertain them. If not, progress. Our next meeting is February 28th here in council chambers at 9 a.m. Budget and Finance Committee, Chairman Hart.
Thank you, Mr. President. We've had a busy month with 2 meetings. Our first order of business for action is Resolution 2019-10, which was the bill list dated February 19th. Put that in the form of a
There's a
motion.
motion by Councilman Hart. There's a second. Councilman Dufresne. Any questions on the bill list? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
Next, we received a communication from the General Authority and a draft letter from Borough Manager to the General Authority is included in the packet. In it, Mr. Pepe outlines this year's proposed request for funding considerations in a format similar to last year's request. Listed are 16 capital budget items in order of rank importance to be considered by the authority for funding. We'd ask for your approval of the letter to submit for their consideration.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Councilman Dufresne, questions or discussion on the list or the request? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes.
I'll start with the bottom line on this next item. It has to do with the new fire engine pumper funding consideration. And then I'll go back and explain the reasons behind it. What Finance Committee, the Borough Manager, and the Fire Department are asking for this evening is your approval to place an order for the new fire pumper apparatus, estimated cost $600,000, at the end of this fiscal year, but no sooner than September. It was originally anticipated that the funding could come totally from the fire fund with no anticipated financing. Recall that we had a replacement schedule for all apparatus, and next year is the year to replace the 1998 21-year-old pumper. The build time for these type vehicles is 11 to 12 months. Recall that we budgeted $100,000 in 2018 and $200,000 in this current fiscal year. It is anticipated an additional $100,000 may be realized as a result of in the fund due to various savings. We would ask that $200,000 be budgeted in 2020, which we anticipated doing anyway, to completely fund the project. Should unforeseen shortfall occur, it will require short-term financing in order to pay it off at the time of delivery. So what we're asking for this evening is the ability to go forward and make that order in September or later of this year.
You placing that in the form of a motion?
I do.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Councilman Dufresne? So just so everyone understands, there is going to be an order placed for the pumper, but not before September. And it will take about a year to make. And there is a second motion then, right after this? Yeah, so any other questions, Councilman Anders?
Is the final payment then once on delivery, or when does, so we place the order in September, we put a deposit down, am I reading that correctly?
Yeah, so Mr. Wagenberg, can I invite the Director of Emergency Services to
Sure.
the podium? I think Mr. Price, Chief Price, can probably answer some of these questions that you might have, so.
Just as far as the timeline, so if we place the order, and you're saying September, we put is it a deposit of a certain amount, and then in next year's budget, the rest comes out?
Yes, can be. Let me explain that. What we're asking for up now is worst-case scenario where we place the order and we pay it in its entirety at delivery.
Okay.
Once we select a specific vendor, we can then enter into payment agreement negotiations. And all the vendors have multiple options. We could elect to pay it all up front and receive a cash percentage discount. We could elect to pay a certain amount up front. Sometimes they'll take a chassis payment, for example, up front. Or we could elect to pay installments as the truck is being built. Once we select a vendor, my recommendation is then the borough manager and myself sit with that vendor and come up with what's most feasible for our financial situation at that time of order. It's a little premature to actually firm that up right now until we actually get the firm bid cost of the truck itself.
So,
We're down to 2 vendors and select this specific vendor.
And so at this point, the reason why we're asking for council's blessing to move forward is because there's a lot of work to do between now and September for him to be able to place the order. And what we don't want to do is waste his time, which is valuable, or any of his employees' time, which is valuable, by having them go through all this work, specifications, working with vendors, and the whole 9 yards, and then just for us to say, nah, we were just kidding. He needs a commitment so that way they know that they need to dedicate more time and effort and get more serious about this. We're not asking today for what the financial plan will be, but he does need either we're going to move forward and do this or we're not. Is
Right.
really what he's
I just
asking
want
us
to make
for.
sure that we have the resources at that point in time when we do have to discuss it, or the means to purchase it. I'm all for purchasing it. I just wanted to make sure that we do have, that plan in place, and.
Well, so you've heard
we have
the plan.
300,000, like half of
Yeah.
it.
So you've heard the plan.
Right.
But like any other plan that I give you, you have to follow through on the plan. I mean, that's what it comes down to. So if we're saying that we need to budget $200,000 next year, when council's sitting here, making decisions for next year's budget, we need to make sure that $200,000 out of next year's budget is earmarked to buying that apparatus. Otherwise, you're financing more. And so then you're outside the plan. So really it comes down to, if we're giving you the plan, if you need to decide, is it a workable plan? Based on the situation that we have now and what it looks like in the future. And number two, that you're gonna stick to the plan. And that means that if he's asking for a dozen other things in next year's budget, that he says he wants or needs, we're gonna have to put your foot down and say, this is the plan, we're sticking to it. So really it comes down to that. We have the plan's in place. Now it's going to be, can we stick to the plan?
Okay.
And quite frankly, the last time I had formal discussions about prepayment options was almost 12 months ago, and they're all tied, those discounts are kind of tied to interest rates. The discounts weren't that great at that time.
Okay. I appreciate it. I just want to make sure we were clear.
Anybody else have a question for Chief Price? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. All right, you got some work cut out, Chief. You're welcome.
Thank you, Chief. Other items discussed at the February 14th meeting included, Mr. Pepe already handled the dump truck lease in a previous action. The process and timeline for an RFP for the auditor services was discussed, and we're looking at a July or August draft for consideration. We also changed our meeting time and day, the monthly meeting, not the one previous to council, that we would meet after the general administration meeting at 11 o'clock on the second Thursday of the month. Appropriate public notice and advertising will be taking place. That's all I have.
Just a correction, it won't always be the second, because it will flip-flop and it could be the first week too.
Correct.
So it will rotate, but it's our first meeting of the month for GA. So, all right, thank you.
And our next meeting is March 4th, 2019, 6:45, report progress.
Thank you. Community Relations Planning and Development Committee, Chairwoman McManaman.
Nothing for official action tonight. However, I would like to update you on a project that we've been working on. Hometown Press, who is the printer of our Borough newsletter, approached us and with the suggestion of creating a welcome folder for whether we are prospecting new business or people approach us and ask us for information regarding the borough. They would go out and get ads for this folder, and it would be, in essence, free to us. So we had worked on photos, and we have now can present the folder to you guys. There are photos of, and of course, to the audience, there are photos of the different areas of Emmaus, and it highlights just about everything that we thought was of importance to a new business or a new resident coming in. So we thank Hometown Press, Wesley Works, who donated photography services, as well as other individuals who also donated some photos within here. It's a great idea, and I think between Shane and even folks in the office who get comments and requests for information. So thanks also to Shane for the help on that as well. And Our next meeting is this Thursday, February 21st at 4:30, and I'll report progress.
Thank you. 26 years ago, when I bought my home, somebody came to my house with a folder similar to that, with what they called a welcome package, and I thought it was fantastic. It had all kinds of information, even as far as like refuse pickup and all. You know, if there's somebody coming in from outside the community, it's very valuable information. So
That would have been Welcome Wagon at the time.
Yeah.
welcome wagon is what it was,
I
yes.
had
Thank
gotten
you.
one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a shame that nobody has picked that up, because I think the businesses would really be supportive of something like that.
It does take time. It does take time, and it takes volunteers, as always. And putting something together like that would benefit the businesses, though, because you're introducing them to that. So, thank you. Did we hear from our junior council member at all?
I did, and I apologize.
It's possible he did not realize that it was a Tuesday meeting
He
because
did.
of the holiday.
He didn't realize, and I apologize, I didn't tell you ahead of time. Mr. Hossman was selected to perform in, I think it's a specific course. So practice is very intense for the next couple of weeks, so he was unable to attend tonight. But he did send me an email, and he has some ideas that he wants to talk to us about. And he plans on getting more involved in the next few weeks. So that was definitely promising. We're trying to coordinate a tour of the community for him. However, with all the cancellations, their half days are over, their holidays are
Maybe spring's
pretty
better.
much done. So I told him, even if it's towards the end of the school year, or at the end of the school year, we'll figure out a date where he can tour the buildings and the community. But he definitely expressed interest to get more involved in the near future. So,
Well, I missed that he wasn't here, so we'll note for the record that the junior council member was absent tonight. Junior Councilman Hausman. All right, we have various boards and commission meeting minutes, 5 sets here. We have some annual reports, the fire department, police report, pension board meeting. So to keep you updated on those areas. Personal appeals part 2. Anybody having a personal appeal, please approach the podium, sign in, state your name.
Hi, Griffin Harold. I just have a quick follow-up from the discussion at the last meeting on Wawa. So I want to thank everyone for getting the Wawa deal, approved. I think that just based on some of the council meetings, it sounded like that was a lot of work for at least a year or two to get that completely finished. And I know that, now that things have kind of settled down with it, I know that there was some, there were some pros and there were some cons associated with it. So I think my comment or some of the follow-up that I'd like is now that it's approved, it would be nice to reiterate to residents some of the pros that we are going to be getting out of this deal, kind of in terms of, I know I can get a shorty, I can get a sizzly, and that's nice and close, which is great. So, but I think more in terms of like the tax revenue, there's going to be employees, some wage tax, the land value is going up. So those are the kind of things that now that it's approved, it'd be good to just reiterate to everyone some of the benefits that this is going to be bringing to the town. And that's one set of benefits. There might be some other things that, I know that we've made some other improvements like the trail connections and things like that. That's kind of maybe some secondary benefits. So that's kind of like, either through the free press or the morning call or something like that, it'd be good to get that summed back up again for everybody. So I don't know if anyone wants to talk. It's a comment. I don't need anyone to respond to it. But.
That was already reported. I asked how many jobs were going to be created, and it's between 20 and 40 is what was given the answer.
Okay.
that's something that we can definitely discuss, so thank you for that.
Do we know how much that answers.
As far as the property tax revenue?
Yeah.
So we won't know that until the property gets valuated.
Right.
If it's worth a $4 million improvement, then we'll know, but until it's actually billed and the assessor comes through, we don't know what the value will be.
Right.
It will definitely be significant, because right now it's weeds.
Right. I hope it's a lot, honestly,
Helps
there's
us.
some budget,
It helps us.
there's
It
some
really
budget
helps
concerns,
us.
right? So I hope it brings in a lot,
Yeah.
So, okay, that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other public appeals? Hearing none. Borough Manager's report.
The significant revenue and expense items for the first half of February, it's in your iPad. If you have any questions on that?
I see we got our sewer flushing truck,
Yeah.
$408,000.
That's a beaut. It is, I've never, outside of purchasing the building, I don't think I've ever spent so much on one item. And to know that it has a motor and wheels, to spend $408,000 on something was significant. But I encourage you to check it out. And they are getting trained on it in the next few weeks.
So you're saying that would be a fun ride along?
You've got to be able to climb up into that thing first. I mean, it's to get up into the seat, you've got to climb about 5 feet.
We just did 600,000.
No, we didn't spend it yet. No. Remember, the plan is that we're going to give them the authorization. We didn't say we were going to pay for it.
We didn't write him a check yet.
You trying to one-up them?
Yeah, we didn't promise that we were going to
We didn't
pay
give it
for
to
it
him.
yet, Mr.
You
Dufresne.
just told us we had to stick to it.
I said you had to stick to the plan. I didn't say you were going to pay for it, though. But I encourage you to visit the Public Works Department and see the machine in this spring, see it in action. It's going to help a lot with the MS4 mandate, with the administrative order issues, and root cutting, because now we're going to be able to get farther into the main that we weren't able to reach before to deal with blockages. So things that we would have had to contract out, we're not going to need to. Again, we stuck to the plan, and the plan will work as long as the machine does its job, which we're confident that it will. So that's exciting. Any other questions on the revenue and expense items, since I think that was the one that stuck out the most?
You can't miss it.
Just a little.
The other thing is, in your iPad, I gave you a 3-page list of timelines for all the different appointments and hiring processes that are coming up. Those that affect your committee or a committee that you're on, please put those dates in your calendars, because it's going to get very intense in the next few months. So it's going to be important that you don't miss the meetings that are on here. I will talk to each of the committee chair people as to what time frame we need to do interviews, whether we need to start a committee meeting earlier to do interviews or just plan for it to run later. But those dates are, I would say, fairly set in stone, because I don't have a whole lot of wiggle room for them not to be set in stone. I'm literally 1 week after I do Public Works things, I'm on to the next one. So if I miss one by a week, we're in trouble.
Are we having, I know like several of these are open now. Do we have a lot of applications coming in?
Yeah, so the full-time police department piece, the applications are due March 22nd. We already have 27 applicants that checked the box for Emmaus. That's 14 more than last time total. The Public Works job, which I think either hit the paper last Wednesday or will be in this Wednesday. Before it even hit the paper, we posted it on Facebook. It had 4,800 hits. We had something like 12 applications in 2 days. I have an over/under of 60 on that. I have a lunch bet with John Dyschel. I think I'm gonna lose. So the paramedic position, I posted on Indeed.com as well as in the newspapers. The Indeed.com has already generated 4 applicants, which is a good sign because it hasn't hit the paper yet. So there's a lot of interest in different things here. Know that these professional services RFPs that council decided to go out for are going to be time consuming for you. So make sure that you have those prepared, because those are interviews that I do not conduct. Those are completely and utterly committee interviews. So make sure that you have those on your radar and on your calendars as to which one affects your committee. All right? If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. A lot going on just in appointments and hiring, and that's on top of the other stuff that we do. So you're going to have a very busy spring, I think. Very busy. If you have nothing else from me, I will report progress.
Thank you. President's business, I have two things. We have some impending weather coming, so be safe. I guess 3 to 6 inches they're saying. And eventually, I guess, rain on Thursday, so it looks like it won't be around too long. But be kind to your neighbors. If you have elderly neighbors, check in on them. Maybe you can help with clearing walks or whatever. I always try to help my one neighbor. And the second thing, we're in new political season, first day to circulate petitions. Hopefully we have plenty of candidates. And if somebody needs help with what they need to do to get on the ballot, please feel free to ask anybody that's experiencing that. So with that being said, a motion to adjourn. Councilman Dufresne, second by Councilwoman Baumgartner. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. There are 7 ayes. Meeting adjourned at 7:43.